On today's podcast, we're talking about practice. I think Allen Iverson said one time, "We talking about practice?" No, but we're going to be a little more specific today and talk about summer practice. This is Mark Holcomb, joined by Kirk Brown with the Football Coaches Corner. Today on the podcast, we're talking summer workouts. A recording of our podcast will be available through the podcast vehicle of your choice, as well as the YouTube channel Football Coaches Corner. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you like what you hear. Coach Brown, as we're taping this episode, we are bringing our summer to an end and getting ready to get started this week, the first week of August. So what better time to talk about summer practice a little bit? And I guess the big thing is, the changes that have occurred since we've been doing this. So for the listeners, give them a little bit of background about you, maybe about how long you've been a head coach and where you're at now, so we can break that down a little bit.
Yeah, so this is going into my second season as being a head coach. I'm at Tunstall High School right outside of Danville, Virginia. Virginia is a little bit different than North Carolina in terms of, what you can and can't do. Growing up in North Carolina, I felt like as a player, you couldn't do really anything until school was out for the summer. And I know it's changed a little bit now, but, in Virginia, it's wide open. We only have one dead period during the summer. That's July 4th. And then even in the spring, the only dead period we have is when baseball and soccer and all the other spring sports are trying out. So you can just kind of go whenever. So that's been a big adjustment for me. But that's where I'm at right now. And so it's been good having that first year under my belt, just learning everything. And it changes every year. We just found out that next year we're going to a 2-week dead period. Last week of June, first week of July in the state of Virginia. So that'll be good. Kind of break things up, maybe give kids a 2-week window to go on vacation so they're not, skipping the other weeks. But that's kind of where we are up here.
I talked to one of my buddies in Tennessee, and he said they've been doing that for a while, the last week of June and the first week of July, which is the 2 periods. And I'm in North Carolina. Being from North Carolina, we've always had those 2 weird dead periods. We have a dead period the week of the 4th, and then we're back on the next week. And then the following week, we have our Coaches Association clinic in Greensboro. So that week is dead too. And one time, a couple years ago, we had those periods back to back, which was awesome, but we'll talk about that a little bit about how things have played off. Now, obviously, all the things we're going to talk about today are opinions. We're not coaching in Texas where we've got 275 kids on our team and 58 coaches and, doing all those things. We're going to talk a little bit about our summer workouts, what's done here and kind of how things have changed. So Coach, go back to when you were a player, which has not been that far removed, not as far as I have, but talk about like what were summer practices and summer workouts like when you were a player?
Yeah, we would go, I believe Eugene had us go 3 days a week in the summer. We would have a mini camp at the very end of the spring. Like I want to say like the week as soon as we got out of school, we had like a little mini camp where we would go 4 to 5 days, practice type stuff. And then we would jump into our summer. And we would just really lift and run. We didn't really do any football stuff. It was all conditioning. And then our basketball coach who had coached football previously, he allowed it to where we would go to football and we go straight to basketball right afterwards. So it would be days that and I think we started going at like 7:30 maybe in the morning. Eugene had us in there early. So we were in there early until about 11. Then I would go straight to basketball. But over the summer, like we did 7-on-7s. We just did it like with us. We didn't go anywhere else. But that didn't happen until late in July. So really just all summer long, it was lifting and running. There was not a whole lot of quote unquote football to be done. And then as soon as the first day hit, we started to practice and go through the conditioning phase. But that's really what I remember about it most.
Yeah, I think going back to when I was a player, which obviously I graduated in '88, so it's been a couple years ago. We didn't know football, like you said. Again, everything we were 8 to 10 in the morning, and then 4 to 6 in the afternoon. So you had to come to one of those different time periods and do your lifting. I don't even think we went outside and ran. I think we just lifted
Mm-hmm.
basically, and it was very relaxed, very laid back. When I first started coaching, we would do the same thing. We would lift, but we would do 4 days a week, and we would again go 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then 4 to 6. So as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
that was a rough period when
It's a
I
grind.
yeah, amen. When I took over as head coach, I said, all right, I met with our kids and I said, we're gonna change this. We're gonna do one time. Do you want to go 8 to 11 or do you want to go 4 to 7? Let's talk about work schedules. Let's figure that out. And
Yeah.
what I figured out is when we gave them one option, we got the kids there. It
Yeah.
wasn't, well, I'll sleep in the morning. I remember days when we would go in the mornings at that 8 to 10, we'd have 5 kids there.
Oh yeah.
And those kids are probably thinking, well, I'll just get up and I'll go later today. And then later
Yeah.
today came and they were working. And so, that
Yeah.
was a big difference for us. No 7-on-7,
Yeah.
no football specific stuff at all. We started football August 1st, and that was the
Yeah.
first time we picked up a football and did any of that stuff. And obviously
Mm-hmm.
that has, wow, that's changed tremendously now with 7-on-7,
Uh,
with summer basketball, with travel baseball, a lot of those things. We'll get to those things a little bit later about how we kind of deal with those. So
mhm.
um so now how do you have things set up at Tunstall? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, last year I was 3 days a week in the summer. We would go Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 8 to 11. Or excuse me, we went 9 to 12 last year. And the reason being, it was just easier to get kids there at 9 than it was at 8, especially after the parent meeting we had. And so that was okay. I just felt like we weren't getting as much in as we maybe needed to. So this year we've gone 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And we've gone 9 to 12 every day. And kind of how we structure that is from about 9 to 10-ish, 30, we're lifting and running. So our weight room's big enough so we can have about 30 to 34 in there at a time. So I'll normally split JV varsity. We've averaged about 50-ish at workouts. So we'll split them, and half the group will go lift, the other half will go run. By the time we kind of get done, we'll flip them, and then that leaves us about an hour and a half to an hour on the field, and that's basically just indie stuff. Um, we tried to get it in June where we were doing more indie, than we jumped to a lot of skelly with the skill kids, and then the offensive line, D line would kind of alternate what they were working that day. We've got a lot of two-way players. So that's kind of how we structured things. And now on Wednesdays, what I started doing, we the way our workouts worked, it was structured for 3 days. So that fourth day, I kind of wanted to have a break in the middle. So on Wednesdays, we have yoga Wednesdays. So we've got in our weight room, we've got a 15 by 50 turf area in there. I've got a TV in there. We put up a 30-minute yoga session, and our guys, we cut out the lights, and it's a glorified stretch for a lot of our guys, and it's on Wednesdays. It kind of breaks up the week. Um, and so we'll do that, and then we'll do some sort of plyometrics, or we'll go watch film, go to the classroom, install whatever we're doing. But that's been good to kind of break up the week. I think it's been really good for the guys, mentally as well as physically. And then Thursday we get right back at it. So that's kind of what we've done this summer, and I've really liked it.
How
Um,
much how much 7-on-7 stuff do you guys get to do?
we down the road about 45 minutes towards Martinsville, there's a sports complex that's got two large turf fields. And all the area schools get together and do 7-on-7s every Tuesday. So you're talking, there's 4 or 5 schools from our county that does it. About 4 or 5 schools from Henry County, like where Martinsville is. Rockingham County comes up sometimes, Reedsville. We've even got some Roanoke schools that come down. So anywhere between 8 to 10 schools, and they have normally 4 or 5 sessions on every Tuesday, 30 minutes a piece. And so we went to 2 of them this year. I don't go to every single one of them because, I think it's good, but I also think, it can get a little bit out of hand. And 2, we see a lot of those schools during the year. So I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
really
always
crazy
tough.
about
Yeah.
seeing those guys, 4 and 5 times, before we even see them during the year. Not that we're trying to hide a lot, but we had 2 of those this year. Then we also went to Averett 7-on-7 and got about 6 games in. So that's, I mean, that's as much as I want to do. 3 is pushing it. I'm not a huge 7-on-7 guy, really more defensively than anything. But we only did 3 this year.
We used to, when I first started head coach, we were 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Then I think travel ball started to leak in a little bit, maybe to some of these things. We started having
Yeah.
guys that were saying, I'm going to be out on Monday. We're traveling back on Monday.
Right.
So quite a few years ago, we went to 3 days a week. We went to the
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday model, and kind of the same thing you're talking about. We will lift and run. I know our weight room at North Davidson and Oak Grove was decent size. We could fit quite a few kids in there. The school that I'm at now, Bishop, is a little bit smaller weight room wise. So we've got we're gonna end up being between 65 and 70 kids on our team. Same thing with you. I would say between 45 and 55 kids a day. So we got to split those kids up. We're on the track, and my thoughts about conditioning stuff has really changed over the past couple of years too. We used to, we were a big 110 team, 15, 21 tens, doing that type of thing. And we've gone, since we had those breaks built in, we've gone to more speed stuff. So everything is timed, everything is posted on the wall for the kids to see. And, so that's just a change in philosophy, I guess, that I've had, because, we used to run the kids really good, get them in good shape, and then we'd have that break for the week of the 4th, and then we'd come back again, and some of our kids would build in that break after the 4th. And so you really got 3 weeks there where you're missing kids.
Yeah.
And then the last hour and 15 minutes is just straight football. We go on the field and we'll mix up between offense and defense. We'll split it up, do that. We did 7-on-7s every Wednesday morning at a local school. They would have 10 to 14 schools come. So we would play, like, I think 4 20-minute games. So, we would go do that every Wednesday, and which was good for our kids. I would go, it was kind of tough on me. I would go to the weight room with our kids that weren't going to 7-on-7 at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then drive over there. My other coaches would kind of handle that till I got there. So that ended up working out, pretty well for us to do those, to set that up. But I think that 3-day a week has worked good for us. We got a lot of kids that cross over and play basketball too. So, but and you and I have talked multiple times. If you got a ton of stuff to get in, then you might want to take a look at that, and maybe you got too much stuff going on. So,
right, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about goals. So what in terms of football, in terms of strength and conditioning, in terms of team building, what are your goals when you go into the summer workout program? What are your goals?
I think, I've tried to tailor it to phases almost. I've talked to our staff about it, and we started back early, back in February, and really what I wanted to do with those guys is just get them together. We had some guys that need to put on some weight. We had some guys that need to lose some weight. So we really focused our spring phase. And I say spring phase, think late February or mid-February to, let's say, May, was really about getting as strong as we could. And that's a time that we did do some 110, some longer distance type things. But we really focused on form and getting as strong as we possibly could. Obviously, everyone's in the weight room to get stronger, but we really tried to lift heavy during the spring. That was a time, we missed basketball up until, middle of March. So we didn't have those guys. Then baseball cranked up, and we were missing probably 8 to 10 of those guys between the two teams. We have a decent amount of wrestlers. So we were kind of in and out of numbers, but that was kind of our goal in the spring, was to really try to put on good weight. And then when the summer hit, that first month, well, let's say May to the end of June, was about obviously getting back in the weight room, start introducing football, but to start sprinting. Like you talked about, the 110s went away. It started with, some falling starts. We started with, how we're starting 10s, 20s, 30s up to 40s. We did some flying sprints. So, we tapped into a little bit of a speed workout there, which is really good. And then again, stayed in the weight room. Was on really like a 3-week cycle. and then we'd hit a fourth week would be kind of our deload week. We do a lot of body weight stuff, then we kind of assess our maxes and crank it right back up. That's kind of how we structured June. And then really July's crept up on me, like you talked about having, July 4th off, getting kids back. We've had, a ton of guys on vacation more in July than June. But really this month has been about getting even more football in, making sure we're maintaining the weight room. And that's kind of been our goal, really, July even more, getting the kids together, getting them in teams, making sure they're holding each other accountable. And we've got a leadership group going that we really had going strong through the spring. And then June kind of took some weeks off, but then when July hit back, we've been meeting regularly every week, just trying to assess, who's doing well, who's not doing well, what do you guys like, what do you not like, just trying to get as much feedback from those guys as possible. But that's kind of been our goal. I wanted to have enough offense and defense in to where if we had to have a scrimmage next week, we could go out and run, 2 run plays, 2 passes, and be able to line up to things. And I feel like we've been able to do that. We already talked on the 7-on-7 stuff, but June we really focused on more of the pass game stuff. Miso, as the head coach, but now in July we've been talking a lot more run fits. I've been with the offensive line every single day, making sure all that stuff's cleared up. So that's kind of long story, but kind of our thought process throughout this whole journey from February to now, July 29th.
We broke ours down a little bit. We were not able to do spring practice because we had so many kids playing lacrosse and running track and doing baseball, and we got out of school.
Yeah.
Golly, we got out of school early. Like I want to say, we were out of school. Like I think our last day was like the 17th of May.
Wow, that's awesome.
We were out of school early. So what we did is we decided to break the summer down into installs. So week one is going to be install 1. Week 2 is going to be install 2. Week 3 is going to be so. Well, now when we start practice this Wednesday, we're going to go back and obviously install 1, install 2, install 3. So for a lot of our kids, it's going to be repetition. And so we ended up having a 5-week summer workout. So we did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And so we didn't get to 3 the last time because of that, but broke it down a little bit more that way. You mentioned the teams. I think one of the things we started doing when you and I were together back at Oak Grove is started breaking things down into teams. And you mentioned two key words, teams and accountability. I think a lot of times we lose some kids during the summer.
Absolutely.
Because kids get used to not being there, and then it goes from not being there to embarrassment to come back because they hadn't been there for a long time, and then they worry about what their coaches are going to say or what their teammates are going to say. So, I would say we probably lost a couple of kids this summer just because, I would send out an email to them or send a text to them, hey, we're missing you, such and such, and the accountability model, like you said, we break up we have a draft, break up our kids into teams, they draft. And so now all the communication goes through those kids. And every week when we would meet on a Tuesday, I would say, okay, we do role based on teams. We do points based on teams. Everything's happening. We just had our winning team. We're going to have a pizza party in the next couple of weeks. And so, we had those things broken down. And I would always say to the captain, have you spoke to this kid this week?
Right.
And the kid, this kid's at the beach. Okay. All right. Good deal. He's at the beach. All right. Oh, I hadn't spoke to this kid. Well, you need to call him, and that kind of throws it back on the kid. And it's a lot easier coming from the kid than it is the coach. So I think, that's one of the things that has been tough with us. And plus it makes things easier. When you have 120 kids in your program, like we had at Oak Grove and North, it's hard for a coach to keep track of 120 kids. Well, now I've got 7 teams, so I've got 7 captains to keep, hold accountable. Absolutely. And then those guys break it down a little bit more, and it helps do those things too. So
and that's something that you really, did a good job at Oak Grove, and that's why I've kind of gone to that model, is because, and two, a lot of times, these kids respond to each other sometimes better than they respond to us. My text message doesn't go as far as, one of the team captains' text messages or Snapchats or whatever, however they're communicating with them. And so I thought, the way we ran things where you would literally just, go through roll, and if we didn't have a guy there, it was about, team captain, where is he? I don't know, or he's at the beach, or he's, on a, church trip or whatever it might be. And it kind of puts it in their hands. And then us reaching out is kind of that second or third tier of communication. But that's something that, I'm definitely going to always hang on to, just because I feel like it just gets done so more efficiently. And, the communication point is vital. And I think that's a lot of, these kids want structure and they want to be wanted. You just got to be able to provide that for them.
Yeah, and one of the things I don't want people listening to this to think you're gonna lose kids.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna lose kids every now and then, because
Absolutely.
kind of what we ask them to do, for some of them it's tough. They don't want to do it, and that's okay. But I don't want to lose kids because they feel like they fell out of touch with what was going on in the program, and then it became easier just to say, well, I'll see those guys when school starts, and that way I won't have to worry about that embarrassment. So, all right, a couple more questions. What are the toughest things that you navigate with players, parents, and coaches during the summer?
Didn't really have to deal with this at Oak Grove as much, but I feel like rides has just been, for me, has just been so complicated. Really, since I've been at Tunstall, and every school has its own stuff, but for me, we have such a broad range in terms of, I guess, area that you have to cover, that our high school does. We have kids that live 35 minutes away that are in our school district. And, with, certain demographics, certain kid situation at home, they might not have a ride, they might have to babysit. So that's really been the toughest thing for me to navigate. Now, I've been lucky that I've got 6 or 7 coaches that have been there every single day all summer. And so really, they've all got 1 or 2 kids. I'm blessed that we've got probably 25 kids that are driving. So they're all able to kind of help out with that. But, I feel like I'm Uber Express sometimes, in the morning at 7 o'clock, texting kids, hey, man, can you get him? Hey, man, can you get him? And we always say, hey, do this the night before, but they're 13, 14, 17, whatever. But that's really been the biggest challenge for me. And it's not like the kids are maliciously wanting to miss. It's not like they're flipping me the bird and saying, coach, I'm not coming today. So the hardest thing for me has been wanting to establish a percentage or a number of, you have to be here for X amount of workouts. But if I were to do that, I would have so many gray areas with kids that I know for a fact, or parents that reach out like, hey, coach, we live 25 minutes away. I'm trying my best to get him a ride and it's way out of my way, type thing. So I want to establish that, but I know that I'll be cutting out X amount of kids. So that's something that's been really hard on me, because I can think back to maybe one football practice that I ever missed in my entire life, for something. So that's just been really the most difficult thing for
Parents
me.
getting you there, and the biggest things we battle. Yeah, the biggest things we battle: vacations. I mean, you've heard my speech before too. If you're going to go on vacation, have fun.
Yep.
This is more important than football. Most of you are going to be with your family for the rest of your life. Most of you are not going to play football. Maybe if you're fortunate, 4 more years.
Right.
So I think that's a big one. You don't want kids taking advantage of that. You don't want parents taking advantage of it. But again, back to what you're saying, you get those text messages that say, hey, I can't get a ride today, or hey, I don't have this today. And I think that comes with communication too. I send out something every Sunday night to my kids, in season, out of season. This is the plan for the week, whether it's the weight room out of season, whether it's summer practice, whether it's fall practice, whatever. And that's which leads me to my last question. All right. So when do you feel is the best time to share your calendar of events for the next year with your parents?
They've gotten mine the last 2 years on January the 1st, almost.
Yeah.
As soon as the season's over, I give myself a little bit of time, but really over the Christmas break, I'm got the calendar up for the entire next year. I'm looking at holidays. I'm looking at dead periods. I'm looking at all that stuff. And I'm making a visible calendar because I'm a visual person. I've got to see it. I can't just, so I've got blocks and I've got everything typed out. And we use the Band app.
Yeah.
I know, guys use Reminder, I like the Band app because it's got a calendar on there. And so I put all the stuff on the calendar, even if it's, say it's an away game or say it's a 7-on-7 somewhere, I can tag the actual location of it, put the address on there. So all I gotta do is click to it, go to Google Maps, and they can pull it up. So that's something that I've tried to do really early. Like I said, January 1, they got it. So there should be no excuses come, August the 1st. Hey, coach, I didn't know I'm on vacation. That's something that, in the 2 parent meetings we've had, that's been the point of emphasis. You've had it since January, so I don't want to hear anything about it. But that's
And
me.
I think you're probably like me with freshmen too. Freshmen, obviously moving from middle school to high school is a little different
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
because, middle school football in our area doesn't start till school starts.
Right.
And so we start, August 1st, July 30th, July
Yep.
31st, whatever, depending on what year it is.
Mhm.
And so that's an adjustment for those parents. So I kind of give
Oh, yeah.
those kids a little bit of
Yes,
grace.
sir.
Yeah. But
You have to
then,
give them some leadway.
yeah. But I'm having a parent meeting this coming Friday night, and I will go ahead and tell those parents this coming Friday night, these are the 2 dead periods for next summer. So
I love it.
they've already been announced. Let's
Plan
go.
accordingly.
I will send out a calendar, like you said, the first week we're back from school in January from break that will cover the entire summer. But
Right.
these 2 dates right now, we know are
Absolutely.
off. And guess what? That's when I'm scheduling my vacation.
Yep.
So,
That's when you need to
yeah.
schedule your vacation as well.
And it's good. All right.
Yep.
A lot about last question. Crossover sports. This is it. I think this is
Yeah.
the topic for everybody. How do you deal with crossover kids? Like, coach, I got a basketball tournament this week.
Uh,
Can't come to practice.
well, first I get in touch with the coach. Like I know ahead of time before the basketball kid, the baseball kid, the wrestling kid tells me, "Hey, coach, I got something going on." Like I know about it. If I don't know about it, then it's something that's happened in the last couple of days. I try to have a great relationship with those guys because I need them. They
Yep.
don't need me, I need them. Um, I'm very lenient for the first part of the summer and into July, but I make sure they understand they know what's next.
Yeah.
If it's a basketball tournament or if it's a baseball tournament, I'm more lenient about the games than I am the workout of the practice type thing. My basketball guys, as soon as they finish with me, they get about an hour to eat lunch before they go to basketball. I've got my starting quarterback is probably going to be the starting shortstop on the varsity next year as a sophomore. So, he's getting pulled in one direction, but I need that guy at my practices to learn things. And so, honestly, there's not been as much with baseball as I thought there would be. I've got about 6 baseball kids, and it has not been a problem. They've missed maybe 1 7-on-7 because ours are in the evening. It's been the basketball kids because they're working out all week and then they're playing in random basketball tournaments Tuesday, Wednesday. So they're the ones that I'm having to work with the most. But I've been really flexible with them because I need them. But they also don't take advantage of me. They're honest with me. And the ones that want to be with me, I know. I've kind of weeded out the other kids that were kind of there every now and then when they wanted to be or not. But that's kind of been what we've dealt with so far. What about you?
Well, communication, like you said, with a basketball coach is
Yeah,
key. Our
absolutely.
basketball coach is outstanding. He and I met
Yeah.
when we got there. I'm in the same situation you are. Guys, I got cut 6th through 12th grade from basketball, but
Mhm.
I still would go play basketball because basketball is more fun.
Right.
I mean, it's
They
just
like
more
it
fun.
more.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, it's more fun than lifting and running. So,
Absolutely.
I meet with him, talk to him about the basketball schedule, talk to our kids about, we had kids this year coming at 8:30 in the morning, working out till 11 o'clock, and then turn around and driving 45 minutes to a team basketball tournament. And I'm
Mhm.
like, look, all right, let's hold off, let's relax a little bit and
Right. Yeah.
give you guys time, because here's my thing too. I know where you're at. I know you're not just
Exactly.
sitting at home not
Absolutely.
doing anything. You're out
Absolutely.
playing basketball, you're out playing baseball, you're out doing something. And so that makes me feel a little bit better about your commitment level to what we're doing. And I have truthfully said this before. I never want to be the reason a kid says, Coach, I can't fit all this in, I'm quitting.
Absolutely.
So I think that's important. They're only in high school one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether it's basketball tournaments or church camp or wherever, as long as I know where you are, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the first that's going to walk a kid down to basketball tryouts or walk a kid to wrestling or walk a kid to soccer, whatever it might be to make them do something else before I'm ever going to tell a kid, no, man, I need you at, workouts in April. Like, no, dude, go run track, go play baseball. That doesn't matter to me. You're doing something.
Yeah. I think that matters. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, this has been it's been a great topic. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody listening to the Football Coaches Corner podcast or watching on our YouTube channel. We invite you to visit our website, which is footballcoachescorner.com for some free downloads. Email us, and that's at fbcoachescorner@gmail.com. You can DM us on X at fbcoachescorner if you have any questions. Our YouTube channel is getting a lot of speed, a lot of followers and subscribers. So we appreciate that. If you have any thoughts about things that are going on, feel free to reach out to us with any of those avenues and questions. We're just two guys that want to help you, learn from us and help your program to run more efficiently. So until next time, coaches, continue to coach with pride, passion, and a purpose.